Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Hawks Nest. Kenny Hawkins. Guess what? I am finally in studio. Mackenzie Kane now on location for today's show, and we're going to be talking about golf. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bucks football team and Tennessee's football team also this weekend. But we're going to begin with golf, and we got a very special guest on with us today. He is ETSU assistant golf coach, former ETSU All-American, PGA professional. Co-captain of the Ryder Cup. I could keep going on and on. Mike Holbert has pretty much done it all. Oh, yeah, and by the way, he is a local guy. Mike, good to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks, Kenny. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, listen, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Ryder Cup. I mean, other than yesterday, this was looking ugly for the Americans. I mean, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, maybe some of the worst golf I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, talk about one-sided, right? They were whatever we did, we didn't do anything right, and they did. They couldn't help but do things right. And I mean, I don't think anybody's ever had a lead of what was it, 7 points going into Sunday, and you know, it was downright embarrassing. Actually, I'm
It
I'm sure
was.
I don't like using that word, but um, it was unbelievable. And but then, as you saw on Sunday, um, all of a sudden you break up their team, and all of a sudden they look like a deer in headlights when we came out swinging, so to speak. So, I mean, it came down. I mean, when all of a sudden we're there, what, 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the evening, and it still wasn't over.
Yeah.
Uh, that was some good stuff yesterday.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in a moment. The swinging, I mean, it was an ugly Ryder Cup as well. Not only because of the golf on the course, but some of the things that took place away from the course, and we'll talk about that in a second. One of the things you have to ask yourself. I heard so many players say that there's nothing like the Ryder Cup, and I'm thinking, really, if you've played on a Sunday in a major at the Masters, at the Open, at the US Open, you're telling me that doesn't compare to a Ryder Cup, Mike?
Well, I don't think it does. Still, I know it's hard to believe, but when I was over there with Curtis, and I was the only assistant in '02. Is Curtis's only assistant, and it was at the Belfry.
Hmm.
We were tied going into the singles, and typically we dominate the singles, but for some reason that Sunday we didn't dominate. But I will tell you this, on that first tee box, and I watched everybody hit off. I think the ground was shaking.
Wow.
It was so loud. Um, but as now, I'm not going to say they're more respectful at majors, but maybe. Um, they just are. They're quieter. I think they have everybody that has got a ticket for the Ryder Cup. I think it says on the back of it, you're allowed to talk or yell or whatever. So, which I don't believe, and they can say whatever they want. But it doesn't say that. Believe me, I was just kidding.
Okay, I was
But
gonna say.
I'm just kidding on that part. But certainly the way they act and the way they yell, and they're so proud of their country over there, and we are over here, and especially being up in New York, it got out of hand. I mean, I have no idea what they were saying, but let's just. It gets a little bit embarrassing from our captain standpoint and from a player standpoint, but it's just things happen in the heat of the battle. And I mean, everybody wants to win almost too bad. And but I would have to, I'm not going to agree with you, but I'm going to have to disagree. There's just a different volume and a different vibe when you're out there trying to win a major championship because that's individual. And now you're on a team, which we don't get to play for hardly at all for your country. And there's a different knot in your stomach. It's a good knot, but you're just that much more passionate about the outcome.
Before we go to Mackenzie, let me just mention he's Curtis is Curtis Strange. Just for those who don't play golf, Mackenzie.
Yeah, Mike, I'm curious because in the 2002 Ryder Cup, you had a couple of iconic players on both sides, on both the American team and the European team. One of my favorites, which I know is the most universally loathed, is Colin Montgomery because of his ability to perform and just be undefeated in these battles. So I'm curious, were there any standouts in this Ryder Cup that you think match that same sort of that competitive spirit energy in this Ryder Cup?
This past one, you mean? This
Yes,
past one,
this
yeah.
past one.
I would have to say, you know, beforehand, Bryson was the most vocal beforehand, and he was certainly passionate, extremely passionate. Even though he finally won some points, but I think Justin Thomas maybe takes the cake on that. He was. I mean, he's undefeated in singles, but he was. It seemed like even though Keegan did that, not even after Scotty,
And we have
never as far as passionate goes, they're all passionate, but Justin Thomas isn't afraid to mix it up. I think Cam Young, who played very well, he's just a quiet guy, and he's still. But I it's Justin Thomas.
Apart from the crowd of playing on American soil, how does Bethpage Black and the challenges that it presents compared to some of the courses that these guys are maybe more used to playing overseas in Europe?
Well, it was there's a reason why that sign is on the first tee. And I mean, we played a PGA there and we played US Open there, I believe. I think Brooks won both of them, maybe. Um, or no, Brooks won one of them. Anyways, that golf course is very, very hard. To be honest with you, I was a little stunned and surprised the way it was set up. Widening the fairways, not having much rough. Mother Nature helped out with all the rain. So as you saw, they were throwing darts from the rough, from the fairway, trying to control spin. To be honest with you, Mackenzie, I mean, it was playing right into Europeans' hands, and I think Keegan might have made a comment. He might have made a mistake there, but I did certainly. I mean, you heard yesterday where some guys made like 7 or 8 birdies. I mean, there were some guys that went around that PGA that didn't make 7 or 8 birdies for the week. I saw a different golf course. Was it? It's usually a different animal. It would have still was a great place for match play, but it was a lot easier. I'll tell you that. I just wish the rough would have been 4 inches and the fairway is a little narrower. That's best team win.
Hey, Mike, while we have some video showing, let me get you to turn your phone to the side because we're getting a great shot of your ear. We're hearing you, but yeah, if you can turn it to the side a little bit, that way we
How's
can
that?
get more of you. Let me ask you this question: do you think uh, Keegan should have played this year, or did he do the right thing and coach?
I thought he did the right thing, Kenny. There was a reason when he was named captain, one of the highest honors, and he even said highest honors that you can ever imagine, to be a captain of that team, and that's what it came down to. He felt like he was not offered, but they wanted him to be the captain and to be the captain, and there is a lot of stuff that goes around being a captain, way too many, a lot of stuff. So I think he did the right thing. And then, plus, if there's any question marks about his 2 end picks, I think those were covered up. There's no question mark. So, uh, you know, he did the right thing, I think, and I totally agree.
I was listening to Luke Donald at the end, and he said one of the differences for the European team is the fact that they didn't change coaches. Do you think the U.S. should go to the same thing? You stay with, I shouldn't say coach, but you stay with the same captain at least for 2 or 3 years without changing. And with that being said, do you think Justin Leonard should get a chance to be a coach in 4 years?
Yes, yes. I think there's nothing wrong with Keegan to give another chance. They gave one of my best pals, and I was on the assistant with Davis Love. He had two chances. Europeans are known to go a couple years, maybe even longer. But Justin Leonard be a great pick. Um, we had obviously we had Phil penciled in for this week or whatever about 6 years ago, but he dug his own grave on that one. So but I Justin Leonard's a great pick. I mean, if they offered it to him, I'm sure he wouldn't turn it down. But let's do that in 4 years' time, right? Back when
Exactly.
we're up at Hazeltine.
Exactly.
So, but next, I I would let I would let Keegan another shot for sure.
Like looking at the Sunday singles matches, there was only one matchup that didn't make it past the 15th hole, and that was Xander and John Rahm. So I was curious if there were any standout performances that you've seen from either side of the team, and how they played head to head.
Well, everybody circled that one, even though they were watching Rory and Scotty. But I circled that one previously just because, John Rahm's a heck of a player. And, previous to going to live, he was totally against it, right? Totally against it. Didn't matter how much money they threw. He's very vocal on, and believe me, he's a top 5 player in the world. Then all of a sudden he goes for whatever, some stupid amount of money and so there's that little asterisk next to him. So I think there's that extra incentive to go out there and beat the tar out of him. And I think Xander had that little chip on his shoulder, even though Rahm was cruising right around the first three matches that he played. So, regardless, and I think it started right on the first hole because I was watching, Rahm hit it right behind the hole and he ran that putt about 5 feet past and he three putted and lost the hole. And there you go. So game on and Xander took advantage of that and, good for Xander. But, the U.S. team knew they couldn't afford to hardly even lose a match. And man, you got to tip their hat to those guys. I mean, who knows what would have happened? I know he made some big putts on 18, but good Lord, I mean, if Russell Henley, took looking through the grapevine here, if Russell Henley, he had two chances on 17 and 18
Yeah.
to win that match, and he left the putt short against Shane Lowry, who ended up winning the cup back. So I know he feels not very well, but still, and who knows what would have happened if he would have won that match. But like I said, Cam Young made a putt, Justin Thomas made a putt, Bryson came back from 5 down. So everything had to fall into place, and it almost did though. So it kept us thinking that would have been the greatest ever for
Yeah.
sure.
I've got to ask because Europe has won the last six of the past eight editions, I believe, or six of the past eight. What does Team USA need to do in order to shape up?
Uh, I don't know. Take some. Uh, yeah, I really don't know. I love the formula that they had. I think the biggest question is you have to have your players that play 5 matches, Scotty and Bryson. I mean, they have to win. They got to win. They got to win some matches. You got to count on that. You're throwing them out there. Even in four ball, I looked at it this way when Tiger was the best player on the planet, and we sent him out there. And as we all know, his record wasn't very good.
Nope.
So I thought, as good as a player as Tiger was, I thought he could beat the opponents in four ball by himself. That's the way I looked at it. And but it didn't turn out that way. And so the same thing with Scotty. I think, and they can put whoever they want with Scotty, and he should win. I mean, I was convinced that he was going to win his match right out of the gate on Friday and Friday morning and Friday afternoon, and it wasn't the same. So it's not so much we got production from the end guys, but your studs have to come through.
Exactly. Mike Holbert, former co-captain of the Ryder Cup. Mike, before we let you go, as we go to a break, I need to ask you two questions. First of all, as I alluded to earlier, did the Ryder Cup fans in New York go too far?
Right? Did they go too far? For not being there, it certainly sounds like they did. It certainly sounds like they did. And but even though the Europeans said they were ready for it, they were ready for anything. I don't think they're ready. When you start using obscenities, that's when they cross the line. Um, but they took a break and they came back. But if to answer your question, I think they did go across the line.
Yeah, I mean, when you start hitting the wives with beer cans or whatever, then yeah, you've gone too far. Last
Yeah.
question. Last question. Does Tiger play the senior or the old folks circuit where he can
The
ride in?
Champions Tour,
Where
Kenny.
I mean, that's what I was
The
going to say.
Champions.
Yeah, the champion circuit
Unbelievable.
where he can get a cart.
Uh, I hope so. I mean, he turns 50 in December. Um, but knowing Tiger, I mean, we don't know what's going on with Tiger, especially after this latest with the Achilles. Seems like he's getting around okay. But if I know Tiger, he's going to want to go out there and play without using a cart. But yeah, I don't know. I hope he does. I hope he does. I'm wanting to know when they throw the you know, I got a feeling they might offer it if Keegan's not the guy in line here. They might offer. I mean, for over there in Ireland, I was thinking they might offer it to Tiger. I know he was offered this one, and he said no. He said no about 4 times. So I don't know if he'll be ready by Ireland. Maybe he'll be ready for Hazeltine. Who knows? But I got a feeling when he does accept it, it's going to be over there. I think he wants to do it over in their neck of the woods. So, um, yeah, we'll see. And maybe by that time, maybe little Charlie will be on the tour and he can pick him.
Wow. All right, Mike Holbert, assistant golf coach at ETSU, former professional golfer, and also former co-captain of the Ryder Cup. If 50 is the championship tour, then my age, there should be a geezer tour. I think I'm gonna get on that one. So let's see what I can
Kenny,
do.
I've seen your short game.
Oh, so that's cold,
You're
Mike.
not making the tour.
That's cold, Mike. Mike, hey, listen, I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for the time. Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome very much.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's a good. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. When we come back, we're going to talk about ETSU and their narrow loss to Mercer and Tennessee and their narrow victory over Mississippi State. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to Hawks Nest. We just finished talking with Mike Holbert about the Ryder Cup. What a Sunday it was. Before that, it was ugly in so many ways. Another thing that was ugly this weekend, ETSU, once again, just like their game against West Georgia, ETSU unfortunately found a way to lose it in the end, and they allowed Mercer to get out of here with a victory.
Absolutely, Kenny. It was tough. This is their second. I think it was second double-digit deficit too that they ended up letting slip away. And it's hard to see the Bucks. Every single time Will Healy has mentioned that word finishing, being able to finish as a team and pull out when you do have these commanding victories or these commanding leads. And it's going to be hard, especially this late into the season.
One good sign is Hakeem Meggett. Look at that little Meggett go. Had been out injured, and now he's back. He ends up with 3 touchdowns on Saturday.
3 touchdowns. I think it was just shy of 120 yards. And it's good to see that sort of connection back again between Cato, I know Jacoby was out because of some injury issues, but uh, to see quality connection again between a quarterback and his receivers, it's refreshing for the Bucks.
We talked to head coach Will Healy today, and he still would not give the okay on Jacoby Criswell. He thought that he would be able to play this past week against Mercer. He doesn't know if he's going to be able to play coming up against Furman. It doesn't get easier for the Buccaneers. Furman has been a thorn in ETSU's side for a number of years. In fact, I think they've only beaten them 3 times ever in Furman. So it's going to be another tough game.
And the thing about this Mercer matchup is the fact that they're reigning SoCon champs, and they didn't just hold it out; they control the pace of the game for 3 quarters. Or it's hard to kind of see them at a 2-3 point in this season because they don't feel like a 2-3 team right now. And it'll be interesting, especially on the road when they go up against Paladins.
And you're right. They really don't feel like a 2-3 team. And really, to be honest with you, let's just go 2-2. Okay, we got to take
Mhm.
Tennessee out. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
that was the money
fair.
game. All right, so you got to take that one out. So they still don't feel like a. I mean, if you think about that, honestly, ETSU should only have one loss this season. I mean, to be completely
Mhm.
honest with you, I mean, I know ifs, buts, candy, whatever. They should only have one loss because they had West Georgia beat and they had Mercer beat. To be completely and the thing about it is everybody's got injuries at this time of the year, but ETSU, they had 2 offensive linemen that are out, and they didn't have their running back Devontae Houston playing. However, ETSU still having a problem running the football.
Absolutely. I mean, only being able to put up 69 rushing yards. And when you compare Cade's passing stats, it was night and day difference, but it just shows how important having power in the backfield can be for the Bucks, and how that's going to translate to success and longevity this season. And it's not easy to be able to figure that out way through. But Jason Albritton, he had some great games in the past. He had a little bit of a tougher uh, turnout this past Saturday, but it'll be neat moving forward on the road.
All right, so ETSU gets ready to hit the road this weekend, headed over to take on the Furman Paladins. Let's head to Starkville Saturday. The Tennessee Volunteers and Mississippi State. Tennessee gets off to a bad start. Mississippi State jumps out to a 7-0 lead. The Vols come back and take the lead, and then it was a heavyweight bout from that point on. Somebody was counterpunching, uppercut, and finally, in the end, the Vols this time find a way to win
It's those darn cowbells, Kenny. Sometimes you just
it.
you can't prepare for them. And I think this is one of the more challenging performances we've seen out of Joey Aguilar over the past couple of games. I mean, he was 24 for 40 on completions. He had 2 interceptions, but he was able to show up when it mattered. And I think this is actually a conversation we had earlier on in the season about picking who's going to start for the Vols at QB. Josh Heupel wanted someone who could handle the pressure situations, and that only comes with experience sometimes. That's something that Joey brought into Tennessee that clearly proved to be useful, especially against Mississippi State.
Yeah, we go into overtime. Deshaun Bishop takes off and scores from 25 yards out. You rarely see that in overtime, where the second play of the game, the kid runs it in. This is one thing I talked about ETSU, the fact they not been able to run the football. Same thing for Tennessee. You just said Joey Aguilar. How many attempts? 40?
40 attempts, 24 completions.
Yeah, that's way too much. I think the coach
That's
would tell you that's way too much throwing. And what that really tells you is you're not running the football. And, I know that they had some guys, 1 or 2 missing on the offensive line as well. It got so thin, they had to take
yeah.
Sanders, the 5-star freshman who hasn't played all year, and basically bring him out of the Red Cross and said, "Look, kid, you got to play the last few downs in this game because we have nobody else."
Yeah, and you look at the fourth quarter drive too when it mattered. Joey did. He stepped up. He called his own number for that little punch in touchdown, and that's what brought this game to overtime. But it was crucial for Deshaun to be able to get that breakaway in OT. But more than anything, it was the Tennessee defense that stood out on Saturday. We had the strip sacks. We had some record high numbers for some of these linemen. It was impressive.
Let's address the elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about Murray Lear. Caleb Clausen here. I'm talking about the fact that there were some bad calls in this game. I know the coach can't talk about it because they don't want to get fined.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think they can fine me. I don't know. We'll find out later. But there were some bad calls. I mean, the Brazel pass where he goes up and they got called for
Hmm.
pushing. All game long they were letting him hand fight. Okay, so don't get picky at the very end of the game. And I know I'm sounding like a homer here, but I like to think that I'm biased, but I'm fair. I just thought that was a bad call.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm very impressed with Brazel this season. Every single game, he had the touchdown this past Saturday, but I hate the idea of nitpicking refs, but you're 100% right. You can't decide when you want to be a little more picky on the higher contact plays, especially when the game is this close to a margin and it's on the line because those calls matter.
All right, and thank goodness we're out of time. We don't have to talk about the Titans. Uh,
Oh my
I
God.
mean, they're still 0-4. What are we going to talk about? But
Kenny, I need to know what my next hat's going to be. I'm
I
running out of
don't know. I'm gonna
ideas
have to
here.
think. You might have to start getting a SoCon hat. We're getting close to basketball.
Hmm.
You'll be in Wednesday at the SoCon Media Day talking to the coach and the players. Once again, thanks to Mike Holbert who joined us earlier to talk about the Ryder Cup. For Mackenzie Kane, Caleb Clausen, and Murray Lee, I'm Kenny Hawkins saying, until next Monday, have a great week.
Okay.